Hi everyone, welcome to today's video where I am going to be unpacking a few things. And I've decided to title this video, I have worked since the age of 7. The only 4 rules I use to push past total burnout. I've chosen this title because I wanted to chat about something that I don't believe a lot of people have talked about on the internet. So, just a backstory. My mom passed away when we were like really young, and dad wasn't really, around that much. So basically, we were left with family members that also had no idea what to do with us because also they were young, they were trying to figure out their lives as well. And we basically went into a situation whereby we're moving from one place to another or being pushed from one place to another with strangers, with family members, and then back to strangers, and so many different things. I mean, just being pulled in different places, and we found ourselves that we're working all the time. Well, me and my twin sister were working all the time, and when I mean working, is that being at home and just taking care of a household with everything, whereby doing the chores. And believe me, I took that as a great thing to do because I mean when you're young you're just like, okay, I just want to keep people happy. What should I do in my position as me as a 7-year old to show that I'm a good child and I have value? Please don't kick me out because I do have value, and my value is to show you that I'm capable. So I'll do gardening, cutting grass, cooking, washing clothes with, and believe me, guys, when I say this, I mean there was no washing machines or water in just in your house, so you had to go and fetch water in the well, and you had to like travel a few miles away. So everything was all about labor, 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 working. From the time you wake up to the time you sleep, you are working, and it was the norm. So fast forward, come to my adulthood, I start working, and it's the only thing that I know to do. But time comes and you feel so tired that your brain can't keep up with what your body's used to. And that's what I call the wall of exhaustion. I hit that wall of exhaustion whereby the desire to quit is real. It became real for me. Where I found myself is that I need income. I feel too tired to work. I'm lacking the desire to even start. This is the burnout from a lifetime of hustle. So I'm sharing this and in hopes that if you are experiencing the same thing, I invite you to think about all these years that you've been working, and this is a sign that your body is telling you to listen and say, maybe you need a break. Maybe you need a break. And you don't know when that break is going to be because, again, it comes with lots of guilt when you're not working, when you feel like you're not performing at 100%. I mean, at 100%. You feel guilty. And when you feel guilty, you feel like you now have to push. So let's say if in within the day you're supposed to finish, let's say 5 tasks and you didn't finish. And that's what I call procrastination. So you procrastinate everything. And then time comes, remember the day is also going. So now comes to nighttime, you're supposed to sleep, but you're like, oh, now I have all this energy. Now let me push. And now you push up until, let's say, 12, and you've not finished. Probably you've done like 1 or 2 tasks, but you're not pushing from a place of like, oh, I'm pushing because I love this, but you're pushing because you are feeling guilty. You're feeling guilty that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and you knew that you were supposed to do it, right? But it's not your fault. It's because you're just tired and you just need to rest, but you can't give yourself permission to rest because you're like, I have bills to pay. I have so many things to take care of, and you just can't stop. But also at the same time, I had to ask myself a question. It's like, to what end? To what end? Everything has a price, to what end? So in this case, what I realized is that I acknowledge that fatigue I define these I define those moments as a season, or I still define those moments as seasons of restoration, meaning that it's not failure. I'm not giving up on myself. I shouldn't blame myself, but you know, I just need to give myself that grace, because if you can't give yourself the grace that you need so that you can come back stronger and perform better, then who's going to give it to you? I don't think your spouse or your partner or your family member or your friends are going to give you that. You have to give that permission to yourself. And that's how I think I've grown to look at things differently. And, it gave me that little bit of like freedom to breathe. Okay. So, which leads me to my second part, whereby and probably you're gonna hear me say this a lot in this video. Like no one really talks about this a lot, because truly no one does. Maybe in my own experience with the things that I've experienced, I don't think so many people really talk about this. So another thing is the lie of 100% effort, that you have to be everything that you do, you have to give it your all. But no one really talks about that your all doesn't mean in this moment, doesn't mean in the next week, doesn't mean in this week. You have to give it all effort, mean. So that's where you have to figure out yourself. And you're like, okay, you know what? My giving it all, I'm just going to be, like you can say, in the next 1 hour, or in the next 2 hours, I'm going to give it all my all. But you can't give it all throughout the whole day, throughout the whole week, throughout the whole month. And that is backed up with lots of years of you not resting. Because, and don't get me wrong, people think resting is, oh, you're not doing anything, or you're on vacation for like 2 or 3 days or a week and you call that resting. That's not resting. Resting is literally, it's like just being your zone, and all you have is your thoughts and your heart. And let's not forget the Holy Spirit too. you know, Resting is when you feel like, okay, you know what? It's like putting a phone on a charger, and you know that by in the morning it's going to be 100%. It's ready to perform. So you need to figure that out yourself. And you're like, what do I do for me to feel energized, or for me to feel like myself again? And you'll know it. It's something that you can't describe, it's something that you feel. Okay. So here you get to feel so guilty if you had not performed at, your absolute peak 100%. So if you know you can, this self punishment keeps you stuck. And it's real, because when you do punish yourself, it becomes like, it becomes a cycle. It's like, if I do not show up the way I'm supposed to show up, I'm going to punish myself in this way. And you even punish yourself without knowing, because it becomes psychologically part of you. You take it in because you have this mindset, and you're like, I didn't do this, I don't deserve this. Trust me, don't get me wrong. There is, that whole entire, system whereby you've done great, so let's reward you with this. It works really well for other people. But also at the same time, if you put it on the other side, whereby you didn't do something you're supposed to do, you beat yourself up about it won't help. So that's where I say that embrace the 1% rule, redefine what success is, as the success as showing up. Your 1% today is a massive win over 10%. I mean, over 0%, right? So get to know that even though you just did one thing, that really moves the needle. And it doesn't have to even be like, even though even it's just like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's something. Feel good about it, because that is going to fuel you to do better tomorrow, or to show up again tomorrow. One thing that I do before the end of the day is that I write down my wins. Wins from the time I wake up, from the time I go to the gym or do what I was supposed to do. I write down all those wins, because those wins make me feel, they reassure me that I've showed up. Was it 100%? No. Was it the best that I could do? No. But you know what? At the end of the day, these wins really show me, because it's like evidence. I shot a video about it, I think in the messaging with your Alan's glow grid, whereby I say that sometimes when you're out there doing the best that you can and you see other people doing the same thing that you're doing, but they're doing it better, and you're like, what do you bring on the table, right? So those little wins that you put down remind you of who you are. They remind you of the work that you're putting in, right? And that is so powerful. Even right now, just speaking about it, it just makes me so good. It makes me feel so good. People really underestimate the amount of energy and power you put in, or we put in, to manifest the dreams that we're living, to manifest the dreams that we want to live. And those small wins are the little push to take you to another level that you want to be on. Which also leads me to strategic rest and small wins, which I've just talked about right now, but I thought I would just go dive a little bit deeper here. To avoid rest, because you were conditioned to believe being still equals to laziness or worthlessness. From my childhood, like you made feel guilty for taking time off. I don't even remember any time that I took off from my childhood and say like, oh, it's holidays, do nothing, or come back and do nothing. And I know in the African culture, parents feel like their kids can become something if they give them something to do. So if their children are not doing anything, it means that they're not being what you call it, variable. They're not being what you call responsible, right? So they give them things to do. Maybe also one of the reasons is like they don't want them to get into trouble, but they forget that kids need to rest. And rest is important. And even though we don't know what rest is at that time when we're young, so that means we rely on our parents or our guardians to show us what rest is. Because guess what? When you grow up, you're also going to teach the same thing to your children. You're going to teach them how not to rest. You're going to teach them how being still is equals to laziness, those kind of beliefs. And it's just going to be insane. And some things really do make or break you. And here is why one of those solutions that I discovered was to like rest is strategic. You use the small rests as fuel, not rewards. You focus on celebrating small wins, right? Like answering two emails or finishing a 20-minute deep work block, or to build so that you can build momentum. You start slow. It doesn't matter if you were supposed to do a list of things that is long, but so long as you showed up for 20 minutes and you did what you're supposed to do, that is something. Because believe me or not, the following day, you're going to wake up and it's just going to be completely different. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm glad that I've showed up. And it's also important to remember that the mindset is that if you didn't show up today at 100% and you only showed up at 2%, the following days usually because you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, you're playing catch up. But that's your brain telling you that you're playing catch up. And that's something that you have to say, I'm not playing catch up. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing exactly in that moment. Don't feel the pressure. It's so interesting that the brain that puts pressure on you is the same brain that is also telling you that, hey, you need to take it easy. So, what does that show? It shows that you need to give your brain something to rely on. So, you need to tell your brain how to feel and how to think. So if you're feeling like you're behind, you need to tell your brain, we're not behind. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. Let's execute what we need to execute and then move on. Okay. Which leads me to my number 4, the last one, which is the long-term fuel. This one, I am still walking through it. Okay. So the constant need for income forces all of us, or forces you to go back into the cycle of working from a place of survival, not passion, which leads to like immediate burnout. And I understand this so well because I've been there and I'm still there as well, but I'm still working so hard to get out of there. This is how it works. You're like, I'm gonna work so hard so I can get here, and then when I get here, I believe I can rest or like relax. But the real truth is that that is never the case. You really have to give yourself permission to rest, because if you don't know how to rest from level 1, When you get to the level three, you're also not going to learn how to rest. And by the time you get to that level three and you're still performing when you were still here, yeah, that's going to be game over. Absolutely. So, what solution could that be? So, I really thought quite a lot when it comes to this, or something that I'm also utilizing as we speak, is that you connect to your future self. Use your future self as your motivation. You are doing the hard work now so that the person you become doesn't have to carry the same weight. It could be any weight, it could be financial weight, it could be trauma weight, it could be so many different things. But you have to connect to your future self and say, if my future self was here right now, what would he tell me? What would she tell me? And then you take that and you start maybe having a different perception, or maybe having a different way of thinking about this. This is interesting. And it's still something that I am, walking so much towards to make it everything all feel better. But again, that's what life is. Life is a sequence of so many different ingredients mashed up together or mixed up together, and they throw it at you, and you have to decide how you want to play or how you want to take the actions, right? I mean, make decisions or the actions that you take. So, again, I thought I would share this because it's things that are coming up when while I'm in this challenge. And again, I'm reminded that so sometimes learn when to put in the hard work, or rather, allow yourself to understand what hard work is. Not what society says, not what I say or anyone says, but you need to redefine what hard work is for you. And if hard work is equals to you burning out and eventually losing it and losing that spark of working with things that matter, then I don't think that is hard work. That's completely something different. So I thought I would share that, and thank you for watching. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. And I keep on seeing the views going up, and I'm like, wow, please like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.